The iPhone, one of the most famous phone brands in the smartphone history, and year after year, Apple prints and release tens of them in the market. Some of them bend harder than your back. Others are so identical that you can't even tell them apart.
Who are you?
You.
No, not me, you.
Yes, I am you.
Just answer the damn questions. Who are you?
I have told you.
What's your name?
Me.
Yes, you!
I am me. He's me. And I'm you.
But overall, the iPhone is still one of the smartest phones in the smartphone history.
Hey Siri, what's 1 + 1?
Calling 911.
So today, we're ranking them all, from the very first to the latest. So, let's start. Let's start with the iPhone 1, straight to the legend class. Any iPhone made under Steve Jobs automatically qualifies for the top ranking. But seriously, we can't say anything bad about this model. A clean interface, multiple apps in one place, and the real first desktop browser on a phone, Safari. True, the phone was expensive, had no 3G, no front camera, no app store, and a foggy back camera that couldn't even record video. But you can't expect from a baby taking his first step to make a moonwalk. The iPhone 1 was and still a masterpiece, and just a year later, Apple released an even more legendary model, the iPhone 3G, and as usual, top of the top. Apple in this model decided to fix and upgrade every flaw from the first iPhone. It came with a faster 3G, a built-in GPS, email integration, a 16GB option, and an app store loaded with more than 500 apps. But the biggest move, a massive price drop from $499 to $199. The iPhone 3G had also its minor downsides, like the weak battery that was easily drained with games and apps. Also, the plastic back was easily scratchable, so it's probably genetics. The 3GS came the year after, and in case you didn't know, the S here stands for speed. The phone had few enhancements from the previous 3G, higher RAM and smoother experience. Safari started loading pages faster, and Apple finally introduced the 32GB storage option. The battery was also slightly better, and for the first time in iPhone history, Apple finally offered the video recording feature. True, the quality you can get at that time was only 480p, but that was literally the maximum resolution for YouTube videos back then, which made it very suitable and perfect for vlogging and recording videos. So for this model, it easily ranks with the top tier. A year later, another masterpiece landed, the iPhone 4. The iPhone 4 was literally the ultimate iPhone upgrade ever. Even Steve Jobs called it
biggest leap since the original iPhone.
The iPhone 4 had a complete redesign, one of the most futuristic and premium designs of that time. A larger display, a 9.3mm thickness, with a glass front and back coverage, and a stainless steel frame. The rear camera was finally able to record HD videos, and for the first time, Apple added a front camera. It wasn't made for selfies at that time, because the quality was trash, but Apple made it for its jaw-dropping feature, the FaceTime. And that was basically the birth of the selfie culture. Also keep in mind that around that time, between 2009 and 2010, Samsung entered the smartphone race with the GTI 7500 and the i9000. So after years of dominance, Apple finally had a worthy competitor. So, the iPhone 4S was the last iPhone made under Jobs' leadership. The phone was introduced on the 4th of October 2011, and Jobs passed away the day after. The 4S was identical to the previous iPhone 4, but the S this time stood for Siri. The phone was simply another huge win for Apple that was unbeatable at that time. The first iPhone with a virtual assistant, a new 64GB option, and finally, a 1080p full HD camera. iCloud made its first appearance too with this model. The fact that this phone was Jobs' last iPhone gave it a huge aura, so it easily deserves a place with the top. Hey, are you enjoying the video so far? If yes, don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you want to support me more, you can join the channel. There are many perks waiting for you there. If not, no worries. Just you watching me is already a huge honor. It's now 2012, and Tim Cook takes the leadership, and the first thing he served, the iPhone 5. The iPhone 5 was slimmer, lighter, and noticeably tall. The back design finally switched to aluminum instead of the glass, which solved the problem of fragility and made it more durable. Also, the lightning cable made its first appearance there, and lasted for 11 years before the USB-C change. The front camera was finally able to record in HD quality, and this was also the first iPhone to support the 4G technology. I would rank this model as great, but since Apple kept the same prices despite all those upgrades, I'd place it with the very top. And speaking of prices, do you want to earn $50? Are you tired of your expensive phone bills? Then meet today's sponsor, Noble Mobile. Noble is a US carrier that literally pays you more to use your phone less. What? Noble runs on T-Mobile towers, but beats it on prices. For just a $50, you can get unlimited data, no hidden fees, and a 2 weeks free trial. And the best part, a cashback program that literally pays you money if you stayed under 20 gigabytes usage. I even spoke with the founders, and got you a $50 coupon if you sign up using the link in the description. So don't miss out this chance, and big thanks to Noble Mobile for sponsoring today's video. The iPhone 5S came the year after as expected, but brought with him this time an unexpected guest, the iPhone 5C. At first, people thought it was a prank or a joke from Apple. Some even called it a kid's iPhone, because it literally looked like a toy. And the C here stood for colors. To summarize it for you, this phone was a complete failure, and flopped more than my first video on the channel. I would rank it as cooked, but since this video is only about the base models, I wouldn't include it. The iPhone 5S was the real release that year. True, no fancy upgrades from the iPhone 5, but people camped in lines for hours just to get that trendy gold color. The 5S was the first iPhone to introduce Touch ID for fingerprint unlocking and App Store purchases, which was the peak invention at that time. Also, the 5S was the first smartphone to have a 64-bit processor, which was a shock for Qualcomm and Samsung. Overall, this model will be remembered as one of the greatest iPhones in Apple history. The iPhone 6 was a focal point in iPhone's history, as it marked the start of a new era, the big screen era. This was also the first time Apple introduced a Plus model, the iPhone 6 Plus. The design was a huge departure from the flat boxy look, to rounded edges, thinner thickness, and very large displays. The camera bump appeared for the first time, and yeah, it was annoying as hell, but that quickly became the new industry standard in 2014. The iPhone 6 was the first to introduce the 128GB storage option and the Apple Pay with NFC. This was Apple's best-selling iPhone of all times, but also one of the biggest scandals, the Bendgate. The aluminum body was so thin in the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus that it could literally bend easily in your pocket. But despite that, this iPhone still deserves its place among the greatest. The 6S is where Apple started fixing things up, similar to the previous 6 and 6 Plus, but this time came with a reinforced shell to prevent the bending. The 6S was also the first iPhone to introduce 4K video recording, and not to forget the rose gold color, which is one of the rarest colors in iPhone lineup. Overall, the 6S was basically a savior for the previous iPhone 6, and it deserves a solid spot in the good rank. The iPhone 7 is where Apple officially started their greed era, and let me roll my sleeves first to explain this better. First of all, Cook chopped the headphone jack from the iPhone 7 and replaced it with a dongle.
Hell no.
Sure, it came for free in the box at the beginning, but once Apple realized they could literally sell water if it had Apple logo on it, they turned it into an upsell. So you either pay for a dongle or pay for an AirPod, and you'll probably choose the second one. Of course, this move also encouraged other companies to follow through and do the same. The funniest thing here was that Samsung roasted Apple so hard for that, and claimed to be different, but 2 years later? Despite that, the iPhone 7 was the first iPhone to introduce the stereo sound and the waterproofing feature, but it'll always be remembered as one of the most controversial iPhones in Apple history. The iPhone 8 dropped the year after, and before the event unfolded, Cook pulled out his famous line,
One more thing.
which was the introduction of the first true model of the modern iPhone era, the iPhone X. The X name came from the 10th year anniversary of the original iPhone, and even Apple called it,
"It is the biggest leap forward since the original iPhone."
Now we have two phones in front of us, one hyped as the future and the other stuck with an outdated design. And as you guessed it, all the hype made people forget about the iPhone 8, which earned it the title the Forgotten One. The iPhone 8 was the first to introduce the wireless charging, and the last base flagship to include a home button. Most enhancement in this model were on the performance side, but by then, most people were bored and tired from that classic design, especially since carriers had ended their subsidies, and Apple started upselling the storage options. Also, the Plus made its final appearance here, before coming back years later in future models. So overall, the iPhone 8 ranks respectfully in the good tier. The iPhone X marked the start of the luxury era, where for the first time, iPhone prices started hitting the 4 digits number. The 10 was priced at $999, and once you add your state or country tax, it easily breaks the 1,000. The phone was the first of its kind to have such design. No home button, the first iPhone with a notch, and the first model to have an OLED display. Design-wise, we can call it the godfather of modern iPhone. The phone size was in the sweet spot, not too large and not too small. The removal of Touch ID was Apple's shocking move here, but it was replaced with a Face ID, which Apple claimed to be more secure. And to be fair, the Face ID was a very great invention at that time. It worked in the dark, with hats, with beard, with glasses, but not with masks, as we all learned that with in 2020. The iPhone X became a blueprint for every iPhone since, and without any questions, deserves a spot with the legends. Hey, don't sleep, the video is still going. One of the best smartphones of 2019 was without any doubt the iPhone 11. Apple here followed a new strategy, lowering the price of the 11 base to dominate the market, while introducing a more expensive model, the 11 Pro. The iPhone 11 came with the A13 Bionic chip, which was an absolute beast at that time, making it faster than any Android in the market. It also introduced night mode and spatial audio for the first time. The iPhone 11 was a premium luxury with an affordable price, and that's what made it one of the best-selling iPhones in Apple history, and without any doubt, one of the greatest. But the same can't be said about the 12, which shocked everyone when Apple decided to remove the charger from the box. And their defense? We're protecting the environment. But the truth was that at that same event of revealing the iPhone 12, Apple also revealed the MagSafe. So, it's obviously for the environment. The funniest part was that Samsung also mocked Apple for this move, but a few years later, maybe Samsung should learn to shut their port up and focus on themselves instead. The iPhone 12 wasn't the center of attention that year. Sure, the 12 was the first base model to have a ceramic shield, and the first to support the 5G feature, but the battery was worse than the iPhone 11. The real spotlight was on the 12 mini, which brought back the nostalgic feeling of the original iPhone, and although everyone fell in love for it, sales were lower than expected, and Apple had to shut it down. The iPhone 13 was basically just a fix for the iPhone 12. Better battery, better performance, better camera, and higher storage options, so it easily sits in the good section. The phone that truly deserved the copy-paste title was the iPhone 14. It was basically a repackaged iPhone 13. The phone was roasted everywhere, and honestly, it deserved it. The whole model was built on two features, emergency SOS and crash detection, with few tweaks in performance. If you put it next to the iPhone 13, you wouldn't notice a difference. So, the iPhone 15 was Apple's apology for the 14, and finally, a real change. The dynamic island came for the first time to the base model. The camera jumped from 12 megapixels to 48 megapixels, and USB-C was finally introduced. The 15 easily earns its place among the legends, but the screen was still stuck at 60 Hz, which is honestly embarrassing when you compare it to similar Android phones. So great is enough. The iPhone 16 brought one of the biggest redesigns in years. A new action button, a new camera control button, and a fresh vertical camera. The phone was faster, more battery efficient, and smoother than the previous 15. It's great, but the disappointment was still in the 60 Hz display, and even worse, the AI scandal. Now, the problem here wasn't from the iPhone itself, but with Apple's misleading marketing about the Apple Intelligence. Apple promoted the 16 as an AI phone, and when fans bought the hype, Apple deleted everything and stepped back. The iPhone 17 is Apple's latest release, and honestly, it can't be ranked any lower than great. Finally, this is the first base model to have the 120Hz screen, and that alone makes it feel like you're holding a Pro but with a base price. The 17 base this year is almost perfect. Improved performance, improved camera, and a great battery. Overall, there isn't much to say about this phone, and I already made a video about it before.
Who are you?
You.
No, not me, you.
Yes, I'm you.
And here you have it, 17 years with 17 iPhones. Let me know which one is your favorite. Subscribe, like, and join, and thanks for watching.